Hello, good evening. It's September 4th, 2025, 8:14 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. What a day today. Yesterday, we saw the stock market ripped into the close, and I thought perhaps maybe a lot of people will risk off during the after hours of the market, but no. We continued to gap up in the morning, and we stayed up for the first 5 minutes. And on SPY, in the 5 minute interval, you could see that we actually gained a little bit of traction in the morning until probably around 9:40, 9:45. And that is when people started to sell off a little bit just because there were some data that came out around 10 a.m. this morning. But once that 10 a.m. macro turned, the market also turned and started rallying higher and higher. And so uh, we see SPY had a 5 point increase today, almost 1% turn to the upside. QQQ was pretty close, and a lot of different tech actually became pretty strong pre-market. And one of them that I'd like to talk about was Meta. Meta had an amazing gap up early in the morning, had a 10 point gap up, and then more than 10 point, I'd say it was a 10 point gap up, and then and then once the market opened, it had a higher gap up in the morning, a higher run in the morning, closer to the 760 level, and then started to give it all back, and then started rallying again and giving it all back. So Meta was one of those plays that I've mentioned in the morning, or sorry, not in the morning, yesterday and the day before that. In the daily time frame, it had a high volume bar, which translated an okay decent hammer candle in the daily, but it was too suspicious for me to even jump into calls, so I left that out. But who knows? Like, I wish I actually got into this, but it is what it is. It wasn't as strong as I thought, right? It wasn't my setup, so I didn't go in. The other ticker today that I looked at was Hood. And if you looked at Hood, the daily time frame, you could see that it actually printed a decent hammer slash doji candle with a decent high volume bar compared to the previous daily volume bars. And so today I played the Hood, I think it was the 108 calls for next week for about 1.7, and it rallied up to, I believe, 2.2, and I trimmed there. And so I believe Hood is going to start rallying a bit, breaking up from this falling wedge. And so I suspect my price target from the recent highs to the recent lows, I suspect that we would retrace at least 50% of that. So that was about 107. So I chose 108. I think tomorrow going into Friday, there is a pretty good chance that the market will rally. The data that was presented today is aligned with what the market is anticipating this month, that the Federal Reserve will cut rates. The employment situation tomorrow releasing at 8:30 a.m. pre-market, I believe they will be in line. If it's bad, right now bad news is good news, and good news is good news. So whatever it is, I believe that tomorrow we will rally. And so the price action overnight is saying that. You could see that futures, the US 500, it closed at SPX 6,502. Now is at 6,510. And I believe tomorrow we'll have a gap up early in the morning around 8 o'clock. We'll start selling off a little bit, and then we will rally again tomorrow. So tomorrow I am keeping an eye on Tesla. Tesla Fridays are on the books. Yeah, last week it was Tesla Fridays, but the opposite way. So tomorrow, I suspect we will actually hover around the 335 level for a little bit. And once we see the first 5 minute candle bar pop and stay up there, and the next 5 minute candle bar sort of consolidates, I'm going to jump into any of the calls that are worth around $1 and setting a sell limit of 2.5 or 3 tomorrow. And hopefully that will happen, but we'll see what happens tomorrow. Maybe if I don't see a strong enough 5 minute candle bar at open for Tesla, I am not touching Tesla at all tomorrow. Another ticker that I loved that I really, really liked this morning was Microsoft. Microsoft showed a lot of buying in the last 2 days and today as well. Again, there was a hammer that was touching the lower Bollinger Band that bounced. Yesterday was a decent day, but it really closed kind of weak, as you can see in this candle. But today, it showed a lot of strength, and even though there was some sort of selling this morning, it actually gained a lot of strength back, creating a higher high, and then in the afternoon, selling off a bit, but went up a little bit higher. So I believe same sort of concept applies. If I take the recent highs from Microsoft after earnings to the recent lows, I suspect we'll get back over the 50% retracement, so about the 525 level. And today I actually played some quick scalps off of this Microsoft strength. I believe I got in just around 1 o'clock. Microsoft, the next week expiry calls for 517.5 for about 1.79, and it fluctuated a little bit, but closer to the end of the day, I trimmed around 2.05. So I'm hoping tomorrow will be a good decent rally day. If not, I might just take my loss. I have some stops ready to go. But we'll see. As you could see, closer to the end of the day, SPX just rallied, and I mean, really, really rallied. And these types of days, this is called a trend day. Looking at the ADD, intraday ADD showed that we stayed above. We kept trending upwards, but we never got to the overbought level. And that just showed the strength of SPX today. And if you looked at the volume of the zero dated expiry calls for SPX, the highest volume at around, I believe, 12 or 11 o'clock before noon. I would say before noon at this level, the 6470 level. The 6480 calls were already at 67,000 contracts. And that is also sort of my indicator that it will touch the 6480 level if before noon, those zero DTE contracts are above 60,000 contracts. So that is what I posted on the YouTube post, that today we will definitely touch 6480. And today we rallied all the way up close to all the way up to 6,500. So it just really shows you that there are buyers in this market. There are a lot of bearish sentiment out there on X, on Discords, even on major television network. People are surprised about this resiliency, but I didn't see that bearish sentiment at all, because I looked at the skew. If you looked at the skew on the daily and not on the intraday, you could see that the skew actually is telling us that we are in a bullish but cautious territory. We're above the 150 level. We have to tread carefully. Today, we increased 3 points from 150 to 150, around approximately 154. So we need to tread carefully. Tomorrow, I believe if we actually rally higher, this number will get higher and closer to 160. So just be careful. I believe we're gonna have another. Like I said, I'm beating a dead horse, but QQQ will have a new all-time high very, very shortly. Once all these other technology stocks are rallying or breaking out of their slump, and once QQQ makes that new all-time high, SPX and SPY will make a new all-time high, and that is when a lot of people will jump into the market thinking, oh, it's not a bear market. People are just making a big fuss out of it. But then once we make that new all-time high, depending on the volatility at that point, perhaps maybe we'll have again those 1 to 1.5% down days on SPX and SPY, and we'll have these sort of very high volatility environment where we'll drop 1 to 1.5%, but then we'll rally back again and get another new all-time high. That is what I mean by saying we're going to grind higher and higher. And it's these failed breakdowns, as what we call it, that will cause more people to keep buying the market. And as we keep buying higher and higher, that's when a lot of people start hedging with a lot of out the money puts. And that is when the skew index will get above 180. And that is when I will start shorting the market. But right now, we're still good to go. Keep buying the stock market, keep buying the dip, and just let the people keep staying bearish. That is how we make a market. That is all for today, folks. I hope you enjoy my videos so far. If you do enjoy these, I try to make these actually daily now, and provide updates to the market and what sort of tickers that I am buying during the market. And I'm also posting them on the YouTube posts as well. If you enjoy these videos and those posts, please like my videos and please subscribe to my channel. That would be very, very helpful. And I will see you in the next video. Cheers.